Thanks for joining us here for This Week in Agribusiness. You know, Max, the sun's out, the snow is melting. It won't be too much longer before farmers are getting together across the country to talk about some of their favorite things. And I've got a feeling for some folks that might include antique iron.
Yes, it's just a little more than 120 days away to that half century of progress coming up later in the summer that we've been talking about often. This is the year for it. Brian Neukomm joins us here this weekend because Illini IFS, the cooperative with which he is affiliated, helps make that event possible in a big way, helping supply some of the fuel. But first of all, speaking of fuel, Brian, what are your growers talking about as you're visiting with them right now? Many of them, of course, have already taken care of their fuel supplies for this planting season, no doubt.
Yeah, that's for sure, Max. So historically speaking, we normally see the best pricing between December and February to contract. However, ever since the pandemic, it's been far from that. So we've got a really good risk management team at Growmark that will guide us as far as recommendations to contract fuel. So we've had a couple windows of opportunity here over the winter to book 10, 15, 20% of fuel needs for the spring and the fall.
I would imagine some will be thinking about propane supplies for grain drying later in the year. Yeah, and it may really be an important issue depending on when we get to plant the crops.
Yeah, exactly right, Max. And so far, we've had some guys here in Central Illinois that have gotten some planting in. Both corn and beans. So yeah, depending on what the growing season is going to be like, there could be a real need for propane, and right now pricing is looking pretty good. We haven't quite got it yet, but we've been encouraged that pricing will be advantageous.
Oh, good. Well, that half century of progress show, somebody this week was asking me about it, and I was trying to describe to them just what it is. The largest vintage farm equipment show in America. How do you describe it, Brian? You've been there every year.
Yes, I have, and I tell you what, it is. Words really can't adequately describe how marvelous and wonderful of a show it really is. I mean, it's a playground for a lot of older farmers and just tractor and old vintage machinery enthusiasts. It's quite remarkable.
The thing I like about it is it's a multi-generational event, though. You talk about older farmers, but you'll see grandfathers with their sons and daughters and grandsons and daughters explaining things. I always enjoy that, don't you?
Oh, very much so. I mean, the number of RTVs that are out there with younger families and younger generations of farmers, you're exactly right. I mean, I take my daughters there every year, and we get on the RTV and we drive around, and I mean, they just get right into that freshly plowed dirt and the freshly picked ear corn, and they have a ball. It's really exciting to see.
We'll look forward to seeing you August 24th through the 27th at that big event. And we thank Illini IFS for playing a big role, helping make that possible, supplying a big chunk of our fuel out there at that show. We appreciate it.
It's absolutely our pleasure, Max. Thanks a lot.